like, I might just, like, if you don't do that, I might just say, like, and, we got on right now, OJ? Well, promotion. Yeah, it's the Tran effects. I've been doing a lot of homework stuff lately. Hello? Can you hear me now? Is that where it's working now? Yeah, maybe. As long as you can hear me. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, so it must be some when I pull it all the way out, it giving me issues. It's not the first time that this has happened, so. Ah, yeah. Just gotta can't pull it out all the way. See, it's when you uh, I think it was just a momentary lapse. Okay. I'll pop up the stream just to check.
There we go. Everybody's up and live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pressure Jockey Studios, episode number 4. Yay. Today, I'm OJ, obviously, your brush jockey. So thank you for joining us. If you're online, if not, that's okay too. When you're seeing this on the video itself up on YouTube, hello from the Brush Jockey Studios. Today we have with us Keithius again. Keithius, welcome back to the show.
Hey everybody.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm getting educated in the lore of 40K, so I'm really happy about that. For those of you joining us for the first time, this stream is really meant for you and for everybody to kind of come together and have a place to be able to hobby with each other while you're hopefully being entertained watching someone paint on some models and listening to us chat about different things in the Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar universe. And probably eventually into other games as we start taking a look at what we're looking at for different games coming up. So to take a look at and think about what we're doing today is Keith is going to school me in the history of Warhammer 40K. So I'm not sure, Keith, just kind of clarify for me. This is the world of Warhammer 40K, not Warhammer 30K, correct? Okay. You know what? Why not? Let's take a look at this post-apocalyptic world and universe right from its origins. So let's do that. While Keith is schooling me in the history of the 40K universe, I'm going to be working on some studio stuff. So I have a painting studio, which is up on my Facebook page with some price points, and if you're interested in getting a quote, please go over there and take a look and let me know. But essentially, what I do is I have 3 levels of painting, and I've never actually specifically painted examples of. I've always had just the 3 levels kind of in mind for my painting studio. One being a basic paint scheme, which is 3 colors and most of the details kind of captured with it, with not a lot of shading, minimal shading with a wash, but no extra highlights beyond that, and only those 3 color minimums. Then I have what I call Tabletop Plus. Tabletop Plus has a large amount of shading with all of the details picked out and layers provided for each of them, so that those little details all pop. And then finally, I have an elite level, which is really meant for showcase level painting. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get all 3 of these guys at least kind of started. I should be able to get my basic and tabletop plus done today with some extra details on my elite style. But anyways, that's what I'm working on today, and that should be good. So Wraith Dancer waves to us. Hey, Wraith Dancer, nice, thanks for joining us. And MT25 says he's having a hard time hearing Keith. So let's just double check to make sure audio's here. I'm just going to turn up our level here.
My audio up a bit. I don't know, fixed it or not.
I'm also bringing up the levels there. MT, do you mind just giving us a shout out to see if you can hear them? I just increased our levels here. Go ahead, Keith, if you don't mind just doing a quick test.
Yeah, just figure we'll. I kind of, as far as the history for 40K goes, I was just looking. I don't know. We might as well start at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to wait for a shout out from somebody online just to make sure.
I sound a lot better on this stream.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Much better. Yeah.
Thanks, Mick Teague.
Cool.
Much appreciated. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started laying down some colors on these guys. I want to do a white wing. So I'm going to probably get a nice glacier blue to kind of match the blue theme on these guys. And I'm going to go with a metallic style weapon and any of the extra pieces in like an orange so that we can show the color of orange in there to have a nice contrasting color to the blue. But so Keith, where did the 40K universe all begin?
Okay, well, buckle up, buckos, because
Buckos.
here we go, diving into 40K. Now, like I say every time, I'm not the most knowledgeable and the best lore master as far as any of the information goes. I just know what I know. So if there's anyone out there that knows more or can correct me on things, please go ahead, because I really don't mind. The lore is one of my favorite parts of the game, so any
Awesome.
more that I can get. I'm gonna get my actually the next book I'm looking to get is one of the other Space Marine Conquest books. I'm really interested on how the Primaris Marines are integrating in the universe now. Now that Gilliman's starting to send them everywhere, so that one is going to be pretty interesting because that's the Dark Angels one.
Nice.
And apparently, they don't really trust the new Primaris Marines very much. So I'm curious as to how that's going to go.
All right.
So I should be getting that book soon. I think it said that it was being shipped now.
Nice.
Anyways, so let's think.
So just a couple of things. Sorry,
So
Keith.
40K starts. Yeah,
Sorry, Keith.
go
I
ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt you there. One of two things. We want to make sure that we're sharing with folks what you're working on today. So let's go ahead and share with
Yes. So I was working on my Tyrannifex last time I was on. I haven't been on for a while, and I haven't done a lot since then. In fact, I haven't really done anything since then, except maybe have a couple of games. Been trying the new Gene Sealer cults. Unfortunately, the missions I've playing are not match play; they're narrative, so they're a little weird and don't really get to use the full effects of the army with those, but they're fun so far. Both
Right on.
games I've played, I haven't even gotten to charge with my abominants yet.
No way.
Or sorry, my aberrants.
Oh my.
Still haven't got to charge with my aberrants yet. So I hear they're good, but I've never got to use them yet.
Nice. And what you're
Right
saying?
now, I'm just working on the gun for my Tyrannifex.
Nice. So what you're saying
So I'm gonna
is
start
this.
putting my second color on.
Nice. So this stream is really forcing you to be able to sit down and put some paint on things.
It is.
Awesome.
Thank you, OJ.
Yeah.
Without this, I'd be lost. My
Every-
progress would be next to nothing.
There you go. Good stuff. I'm glad that we're helping you with that. So just as a note, also, when I want to kind of just point out, I know that I have some first time watchers on with a couple of the viewers. So when you're starting off on the lore part, if you don't mind, kind of maybe explaining a couple of extra things as well, as if you're talking to some of the folks who've never even been introduced to the Warhammer 40K universe, just to ensure that we're kind of captivating that audience as well. So essentially,
We don't want to exclude anyone.
Exactly, and we're pretending like I'm an
fair.
absolute noob as well. So, because I pretty much am.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Yeah, you two emptied. All right. Well, okay. So, Warhammer 40K. It's a sci-fi based tabletop game. As far as the history goes, the beginnings of 40K are very much the same as our human history. It's the same. Some kind of giant event happens that forms the universe, and planets and solar systems and all that jazz happen. So, but humanity was not the first race as we were so led to believe. Because we're the best and we're all that, but we weren't the first ones in this galaxy. OJ, do you have, out of all of the races that in 40K, can you guess which races were the first ones that inhabited our galaxy?
I am going to guess that it was, because I'm painting them, the Eldar. So it's essentially the space elves coming in, because I've been told that they're an ancient race, and that they know all and kind of have this great kind of understanding of and handle on the universe. So that's my guess.
Well, you would be partially correct.
Partially, okay.
The first beings to really become sentient and kind of had a hold on the galaxy were known as the Old Ones.
Okay.
And eventually they evolved to the point where they basically became almost like a higher level of being. So like kind of like God stature, I suppose. Not really, just like really advanced forms of beings, right? And
Okay.
they were the first, and they just kind of did their own thing, and they really liked life and things like that.
Okay.
And
So they were called the Old Ones?
Yeah, and they're described as, I don't know, they were described as slans, so basically giant toad men.
Okay.
But then they evolved to the point where they shed their physical forms and become just beings of energy and all that.
Wow, okay.
Jazz. And then after them, there were what you were saying, the old Eldar race. They weren't really called the Eldar; they were just called the Eldari, I believe.
Okay.
So we're going back to their histories here, and back in the day, these Eldari, they just reproduced like bunny rabbits, and basically just got it on all the time, and then they spread through the galaxy, just doing their thing, having the sexy time.
That's right, because if I'm not mistaken, so this is before they actually split into the different factions of the Eldari, correct?
Yes.
So at this point, they're still all good. They're not necessarily an evil, or they don't have any kind of different outlooks or different kind of cultures. Essentially, this is the space elves of the time that include everyone.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
It's just all the space elves together having sexy parties and
sexy parties,
doing their thing, populating the galaxy. And the old ones liked them. They were nice. Then there was another race as well, and they were called the Necrontyr.
Oh, the Necrons. So this is like cyborg kind of bodies of the old. So like Terminator style.
Not quite.
No?
These Necrontyr were actual beings, normal people like us. And they had dynasties and whatever. But unlike the other spacefaring races, like the old ones and the Eldari, the Necrontyr, they were spacefaring, but they couldn't traverse the warp or anything like that. So
okay.
And they were just really jealous of the Eldar and the old ones.
Okay. So what define for me space bearing, is that what you said?
Spacefaring.
Faring. Okay. So spacefaring, I'm guessing, is like people who travel the universe.
Yeah, they're able to fly around in space.
Okay. And you mentioned the warp. What is the warp? For those
the warp is basically an alternate reality dimension within the galaxy. So it lets you kind of break the laws of physics, as it were.
Okay.
And that's how you can go from one side of the galaxy to the other.
Okay, so it's a different form of. So it's I guess, is it a parallel kind of reality of of this to be able to travel
Yeah,
time,
so
or
the warp is basically a collection of all the thoughts and feelings in the known galaxy are mirrored in the warp and
okay,
manifested in given form.
okay, and
And that's also so psychers in 40K harness the powers from the warp
okay, so like
to
spellcasters to be able
use their
to.
psychic abilities.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
essentially a place to be able to manipulate the things of the real world.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's in what you're referring to as races that have been able to use the warp to their advantage in different ways.
Yeah, to just populate the galaxy and stuff. They're able to get around quicker.
Okay,
And so basically the old ones don't care that much about that stuff, so the Eldari basically became the main power in the galaxy.
okay,
But not really, because all they were doing were having sex, and
didn't really
they didn't
matter.
really care. They didn't really know a whole lot. But so the Necron tier, they had different dynasties, and they were a lot more confined because they couldn't travel as far and fast through space. But they had a lot of infighting between their different dynasties,
Okay,
and they weren't very happy people. So through a bunch of things, they decided that what's one way we can unite all of our dynasties into one fighting force? No, find a common enemy. So they decided to go to war against the other races in the galaxy.
just because they
So
were.
that included the old ones. Yeah, they were just in a bad place, and emo and all that stuff.
Okay,
So they started a war with the other races in the galaxy. Mainly the old ones, because they were just jealous of the old ones. But the old ones, like the Eldari, helped the old ones, because the Eldari learned a lot of their stuff from the old ones. Most of the Eldari technology was shown and stuff to them by the old ones.
okay,
There's different fluffs. Like some of the fluff says that the old ones created the Eldari and a bunch of other races. But then there's other fluff like in the Eldar book and stuff that says that they weren't created by the old ones, but they helped the old ones back in the day.
okay,
So they have go to battle and stuff with the Necron tier, and just outmaneuvered, and technology-wise, Necron tier was pretty dope. They had some good technology, so it wasn't so much that, it was just the Eldar and the old ones were just so much faster, and there were just so many more of them, so they ended up getting fought back to their home systems, the Necron tier.
okay.
And then they're like, man, we're really getting our asses kicked in this war. We need to figure out something soon. And they noticed that their sun was starting to act weird and like die, and a lot of the people on their planet were getting like poisoned and whatever from the radiation from the sun. They're like, what the hell's going on? So they went and checked it out,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some kind of gas cloud being that was feeding on their sun.
Okay.
And they were like, oh wow, this thing's pretty intense. And of course their first thoughts were, I know, let's build a giant robot body and stuff this gas cloud in it.
Okay.
So they built these robot bodies, built bodies basically for these non-existent, kind of just floating around space clouds that were eating their sun. And these are what became known as the Kitans.
Ah, okay. So that makes a little bit more sense for me with regards to the Necron race, because I've seen the games, I've seen the actual gameplay of these Necron beings, and I always thought, well, these guys are robots. Why on earth would they have these like soulful kind of beings with them, which are some of the models in the game and whatnot. So these are essentially like this body that
this like celestial body of energy
is an actual piece of is a monstrous beast that like feeds on sun or fed on their sun.
Yeah, there's more than one, so they gather a few of them, and these celestial bodies now they have actual forms and stuff. Become the Kitans as we know them for the Necrons.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, help us fight the old ones and stuff, right? And the Kitans were like, oh, we'll help you fight everything, but in doing so, your souls belong to us, basically.
So the Satan souls or the
Necron tier souls.
Okay.
Because the Setans are these very powerful beings.
Okay.
Almost godlike, you could say, with their power. They can devour entire suns. Like these things are strong.
Okay. So they said to the Necron tiers, saying, okay, well, you need to give us your entire souls and your internal beings of who you are in order for us to help you fight this war.
Yeah. Because basically, somewhere along the lines, the Setans realized that souls were a lot tastier than suns and things like that.
Okay.
So the Necron tier agree to that, and then they take all their souls and put them into metal empty husks, which we know now as the Necrons, which are the Terminator-style guys where they're just robots, basically. Yeah.
So the Terminator bodies of these robots, these Necron robots, are essentially the souls of these Necron tiers that have been like devoured by the Satan.
Empty bodies of the Necron tier, and then their souls basically get devoured by the Kitans. Not all of them, mind you. Some souls were strong enough to survive, and that's where you get the leaders of the Necrons right now.
Okay.
Like the named character guys.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty crazy, though.
The C10 start helping the Necron tier, and throughout this, the Necron tier are far more powerful now. They have their metal robot bodies and these godlike beings helping them fight. So now the old ones are like, oh crap, these Kitans are like more powerful than we are, and these Necrons are killing all the Eldarian stuff. So the quote unquote good guys were having a bad time at this point.
Okay.
So, they're like, oh man, we're on the back foot. How are we going to do this? So the old ones, knowing what they do, they're like, well, you know what we're good at? We're good at creating races and just things like that. So they decide they need to make a new race that'll help them fight and win against the new Kitans and Necron tier army. So they make the most warlike faction that's near impossible to kill, and just instead of like really warp stuff, their powers come from just mass belief and just everyone being together. And they make this race called the Krorks.
The Quarks?
The Krorks.
Krorks. Okay.
Which are now known as the Orcs.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, because Like, that makes sense because the orc races are all about destruction of just
They're
destruction.
all about the war. They
Yeah.
want the war. They just want to fight.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
want a good fight. And they're really hard to kill.
Okay.
So the old ones make orcs.
Okay.
The corks.
The quirks.
Yeah. Thank you. Great answer. So with the Quarks on their team now, they really start killing everything. And then the Necrontyr and the Cetans are losing again. And the Cetans realize, hey, you know what? We're spending more energy than we're getting by devouring all these souls. Something's got to give here. Something's not working right. So one of the Eldari gods, the Harlequin one there, can't remember his name. Shegarath, I think.
Kregash, I think his name starts with a C. Kregarak. Yeah. Cregoragh.
Yeah. He meets up with the Cetan, the Deceiver.
Okay.
And the two of them make a plan together because they're both about deceiving and just coming up with weird plans.
Okay.
And he convinces the Deceiver to convince the other Cetan that, hey, we're losing this war, all the Cetans are dying, we should devour the other Cetans so their power doesn't go to waste, and we get them instead, and then we become stronger. So then the Cetans start fighting each other and eating each other. And then that results in just a couple of them being left. So like the Deceiver, the Nightbringer, the Void Dragon.
Okay.
There's just a couple of Cetans left at that point. And then the Necrontyr, it's like, well, we're not going to win this war. I guess we'll just sleep it out,
Okay.
Because all of these souls and everything being devoured really brought an imbalance in the war. It really affected that alternate reality because just of how many souls and all the death and war and everything.
Okay.
And it caused this mass reaction in the warp realm that basically the chaos gods were able to be formed at that point. They were always there, but they didn't really have that much power.
Okay.
But with the new influx of souls and everything happening in the galaxy, they had enough power that they could enforce their will on the actual galaxy at this point. So a bunch of demons start coming in, and the Eldar are like, oh my god, we're all gonna die! We can't use the warp! And the old ones at this point were basically all dead from the Cetans.
Okay.
The few that were left get just completely destroyed by the demons because of how close to the warp they are. So, but at this point they had kind of made the webway. So for those of you that don't know, the webway is kind of like stargates, if you know what stargates are. Basically, they make, what would you say, OJ? They're kind of like wormhole kind of connections across the galaxy to the different gates. So you can go in this gate and go through this passage basically to another gate on another planet on the other side of the galaxy without having to go in the warp. Although I think the way it works is they are in the warp, but they're like tunnels in the warp so that the warp stuff can't get into the tunnel, and then you're safe. Pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah, I think so.
So warp net. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
network
they're able to kind of hide in the webway while all the demons are killing everyone. So the rest of the old ones basically die. The Necrons are like, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna just go into our tombs and fall asleep now because this is getting ridiculous. And the orcs are just like having a great time because they don't care.
Okay, so we got.
So this big galaxy shaking chaos thing happens, and all the major races kind of all die or do their own thing at that point. And while this is happening, that's where all the other smaller races kind of start developing and becoming their own, kind of like humanity.
Okay, so the human race then, where does the human race fall into all of this? Like that's when they start to develop at around this time as well. And is it from the the big event, like the big? I'm guessing that this is considered something like the Big Bang, where this is where these different races have been conceived from or created from.
Well, the Big Bang would have created the old ones and the Eldari and Necron tier and those guys, like the beginning of the galaxy. This is just like another big, kind of like a giant warp storm type deal.
Okay.
But then eventually that all balances out and things get back to normal. And then the Eldar come back out.
Okay.
And they're all gone. So the Eldar come back out, and humanity does their thing. And
okay, so this is where we're at. We're at a point where the Eldar are back in the universe because they've come out of their webway because they're done hiding. The Corks are still in and about because they're essentially going through the universe, enjoying the war. The Necronteers are in sleep in their crisis, or in their tombs. They're kind of essentially, gone to rest and kind of sleeping it out. Chaos is just emerging from the warp because of all of the influx of everything, and new races are starting to be developed. Correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's kind of at that point. That's where we're at,
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
So eventually everything kind of calms down and stuff, and then humanity basically becomes the next major race. Well, no, okay, so then everything calms down, and then the Eldar come back out, and they're like, oh well, the Necrons are gone, the old ones are gone, let's get back to fucking.
Okay.
Pardon my language.
Yeah.
But they basically go back to doing their own thing, right?
Okay.
And they say if you don't use it, you lose it. But also, if you use it too much, it becomes a shriveled up husk and doesn't do anything anymore. So they kind of overgo with that stuff, and that's what screws over their reproductive systems. And that's why at this point in 40K, the Eldari just basically don't have natural childbirth anymore. The only things they do are clones, I believe.
Okay.
I think the Drukhari do that. They clone people.
Okay.
Natural births don't really occur anymore because their reproductive systems are so messed up from how much they use them. But it gets to this rising crescendo, and as a lot of people know, this is when, they just do it so much, and it's basically the only thing going on in the galaxy at that time, that it feeds all of that energy into the warp, and then creates a new chaos god, Slaanesh.
Okay. So the copulation and the excessive pleasure that is had by the Eldari races feed into the warp to create a god of
excess.
Pleasure, god of excess, god of pleasure, and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's kind of neat. How the actual energy of the universe feeds into the warp to then kind of change the elements of the actual universe itself. That's kind of cool.
Because the warp kind of reflects what happens in the galaxy. It's like a combination of all the thoughts and feelings and emotions that are in the galaxy get given form in the warp.
Okay.
So they bang Slanesh into existence, quite literally.
Okay.
And then that shakes up the warp again badly and actually tears so bad that it tears a hole in the actual galaxy, which is known as the Eye of Terror.
Okay, so the tear in the universe is that like a doorway or an element that kind of bridges the two environments, so like the universe itself as its physical form and the warp, or is it something else?
Nope, it's basically it's a portal from one to the other.
Okay.
So it's a way to go into the warp and come out of the warp.
Okay.
That area was where most of the Eldari races were, so when the Eye of Terror got formed, it consumed a bunch of the Eldar, and Slanesh basically had a contract saying that all Eldar souls are hers at that point.
Okay.
So all the Eldar that die, she got all of their souls and then became one of the large chaos.
Demons. Yeah,
the chaos cup filleth over and spews its warp into the galaxy. Yep. It just, it happens. People go overboard. Consent, that you got to know what consent is.
Okay.
Slanesh doesn't. So then at this point, now the Eldar race is screwed like the old ones were back in the day. Half of them are dead. The other half just decided to hide in the warp where Slanesh can't find them, and they become the Drukhari, so the Dark Eldar.
So those are the ones who hide
They
from
build
them?
their cities and they just stay there. Yeah, they just hide in the webway because they're like, nope, don't want to deal with that.
Okay.
And
so
that's why they don't allow. Yes, Komarag is the city that they create in the webway.
Okay.
And they don't allow psychers in there because that would draw the attention. They grab power from the warp, and then that would draw attention to Slanesh, and Slanesh would find them, and then that would not be good.
Okay. That's an interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that it was in the warp that they did it, and that was the reason why the Dark Eldar don't have any psychers or spellcasters, is because they don't want the Slaanesh gods to find them. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, and at that point, so the Eldar are kind of all dead. And this is when humanity's like, hey, now's our chance to rule the galaxy,
Yeah, because everybody's kind of in hiding. And or destroyed or sucked into the Eye of Terror.
Yeah. Now, at this point, humanity's already been around for a bit, and they were already kind of spreading around the galaxy.
Okay.
But this Eye of Terror stuff happens, and then they all get cut off from each other because the big warp storms happen again, and basically any human psychers bring demons onto the planets and they die. So really the only human planets that kind of make it out okay are the ones where they have ritualistic witch hunts and kill all psychers.
Okay.
They end up doing okay when this Eye of Terror and shenanigans happens because there aren't very many psychers on the planet because they all get killed. So the witch hunts were a good thing.
so Wraith Dancer says Slanesh versus Korn for Eldar God of War pay-per-view event of the ages. Okay.
Ding,
So-
ding, ding.
Yeah, so Slanesh is a god of excess. Korn is a god of blood, right?
Yeah.
For the Eldar God of War. Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's kind of weird. Yeah, no, that would be a epic fight. Slaanesh might like it too much though. So
Yeah, so we're at the point
where was I?
where
I lost my train of thought.
so at this point I think you said what was it? Humanity had been around for a little while, but it's where they started to really prosper, I guess, at about this time. Just after the Eye of Terror.
Yeah, because now the Eldar are out of the picture.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where actually the Emperor of Mankind decides to show up.
Okay.
And he starts taking over, really. And he makes his Primarchs.
Okay. Primarchs are the leaders of his. Yeah. So explain to me why the Primarchs were made, because there was 13 of them, right?
Yeah, I think so. 13 or 14, something like that.
Yeah, because there was the 13th company that ended up being sucked into the warp, if I'm not mistaken, when the Eye of Terror happened.
Yeah, I don't know
Or
if
am I
that's
thinking? Or am I
confirmed
thinking
or
of?
not, but
Am I thinking of the different chapters of the Space Marines? Anyways, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. So the
no, that's fair though.
the Primarchs
So
are
yeah,
made, and these are the sons of the Emperor.
yeah. So he makes them in test tubes and whatever, and they're basically the strongest humanity can be.
Okay. Now, just as a kind of a, because I'm not sure, where does the Emperor come from? How was he labeled the Emperor, and why is he the ever being person who creates these Primarchs? Do you know?
OJ, I watched a lot of the information I have now. I don't know if many of you know of Brava Afalbuza, but he has lore videos on YouTube
Okay.
called "If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device."
Okay.
They're absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend watching them if you're interested in lore and stuff like that, because he does it in a fun way, where basically after all this time they finally install a text to speech on the Emperor's golden throne so he could talk.
Okay. So he doesn't have an actual speech. He's not able to speak.
He's like a Stephen Hawking basically.
Okay. Okay.
But then he starts telling stories, and he's asking how's the galaxy doing, and it gets very entertaining. He does a really good job, and I'm glad to see that he's still doing them, because there was a period where like everyone knows, things happen in life.
Mhm.
You got to take care of yourself and whatever, and those you love. So
you needed
but
to.
now he's back to making them. As a Catan entity hiding from the rest of his breath. Yeah. So the way that he explains the way that I learned about how the Emperor was formed was from the text to speech videos. And what had happened was, back in the day, early human history, even before they started going to other planets and stuff, they had their early form of psychers were known as shamans back then.
Okay.
And they like they knew, like with all the demons and stuff popping up and all the bad things, that things weren't looking good, right? And they were dying off and all that. So they got together, all the most powerful shamans on Terra, and came up with a plan to basically combine all of themselves.
Okay.
And they basically all shed their forms, and all of their spirits combined to create a
An emperor.
godly celestial being,
Okay.
aka Emperor. So basically, how the old ones had evolved to the point where they didn't need physical forms and were like super entities.
Okay.
The shamans basically achieved the same thing, creating the Emperor. That spirit latched onto a baby inside mommy's belly, and then eventually the child was born, and that child was the Emperor.
Okay.
He didn't know he was the Emperor at first, but he was like way stronger, way smarter, way better looking, like just the perfect human type deal.
Okay.
And eventually, like the warp rifts and stuff started happening for Slanesh, and he, like his spirit kind of awoken, and then he was like, oh my god, I'm the Emperor. And then when that happened, he basically kind of went into hiding, and he's among us right now, somewhere out there, just kind of watching and influencing human history here and there and doing his own thing. So he's out there. The Emperor is real.
Okay. At this point in history, or is that like in your story, or in present day Warhammer 40K?
Human history.
Okay. So like at this point in time, as the before the Eye of Terror and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the Eye of Terror happens, the Eldar disappear and stuff, and that's when the Emperor's like, okay, it's my turn. Time to take over the galaxy.
Okay.
And then that's when he does his thing. He makes his Primarchs, and so he makes his Primarchs. His first Space Marines were Thunder Warriors, and they were kind of like a flop because they were like his first Space Marines, so he wasn't very good at it at the time. It was enough for him to take over the Earth, but not to do anything more than that. So he makes his Primarchs. They're still in the test tubes. The Chaos Gods see this and are like, damn, these guys are really strong. He's going to take over the galaxy. We can't let this happen. So the Chaos Gods steal the Primarchs and scatter them across the galaxy.
Okay. So that's how the Primarchs were cast across the galaxy. It was because the gods of chaos stole them from the Emperor and said, psh. I thought it was, for some reason, I thought it was the Emperor who sent out his Primarchs to actually battle for him to take over the universe. But
eventually it gets to that point, but
okay.
to begin, they get sent out, and then his first crusades in the galaxy are basically to find his lost sons.
Okay. Gotcha.
So then he slowly starts to find all of his Primarchs, his sons.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally they go through all the galaxy. He finds all of his sons, and that's when the Emperor's like, okay, we found everyone. We basically have everything taken care of. I'm going to go back home. And then he puts Horus in charge.
Okay. So he puts one of his sons in charge of the thing so he can go and have a nap.
Yeah, have a nap. He's like, I'm tired. I've been working hard. I got better things to do.
Okay.
And then, for any of you who know the Horus Heresy novels, that's when things start to go sour for humanity. Horus does treachery, chaos comes up and is like, you know who sucks? That emperor. You should be Emperor Horus. And then he's like, you know what? I should be emperor.
So Horus backstabs his dad and tries to take over the throne while dad's sleeping.
Yeah. Well, Dad's not necessarily sleeping. He's just kind of chilling. But
okay, so he's back on wherever his home planet is, but Horus is like, yeah, no, screw you, Dad.
Yeah. So he gets a bunch of his brothers on his team, and this splits the Space Marine chapters into
being the Chaos and the loyal chapters, right? They consider themselves the loyal chapters.
The loyalist pigs.
Okay, that's interesting. So now these pieces of humanity, or these Space Marines, really have these different kind of separations. Now, where do the Imperial Guard and the human races come? Because if I'm not mistaken, the Space Marine chapters are all the children and gene seeds of these Primarchs, right? Or do you mind? Maybe let's take a step back and say, okay, so how are the Space Marines created, and where are they in all of this? And then we'll take a look at where humanity is and the actual humans, because they're really different races, right?
Yeah, well, they're the same. Space Marines are just genetically enhanced humans, so they get like extra hearts, extra lungs, can spit acid, bunch of crazy shenanigans.
Yeah,
and they wear this crazy power armor that makes them even stronger. The power armor that's basically powered by mini nukes. But yeah, the Emperor makes all of his legions and stuff for his crusade to go out into the galaxy and get his Primarchs back. So he uses the Primarch DNA to make different chapters. And as he goes out and he finds his Primarchs again, he's like, hey, guess what? These guys are all your sons.
Okay.
And they all have
surprise, you're a daddy.
Okay. Surprise.
Okay. So that's neat. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was the actual Primarchs themselves that initiated and started those. So again, lesson in history. The actual Space Marines were created from the Emperor based on the genetics and DNA of the Primarchs, not the Primarchs themselves doing it.
Yep.
Okay.
As far as the Astra Militarum and Tech Marines and stuff like that, they've just kind of always been around. Like normal humans are normal humans. They're always used when Space Marines don't need to be used. They use, Astra Militarum.
Okay.
They're more, once you take over a planet, a fraction of that planetary, a fraction of the Astra Militarum, they kind of leave those behind on certain planets to become the local police force and whatever.
Okay.
So that was basically their main role throughout the crusade is, okay, we've taken this planet over, it's come to compliance, we'll leave some Imperial Guard here and make sure everything's good, and we're going to continue on. Okay.
So the Space Marines employed the Astra Militarum to ensure that they're just kind of keeping up with everything that was going on the planets that they've taken over.
Yeah, leave them behind as babysitters, basically, and to incorporate the Imperial law.
Yeah, because it's all the same. It's all the same emperor that they follow, right?
Yeah, the Imperial truth. Thou shalt not consort with heretics. And,
Okay.
other things like that, like demons don't exist.
Yeah, but they do.
Yeah. That emperor, thought maybe if we don't think about them, they'll disappear.
Okay. So that's kind of shady. This is where I guess this is where the divide comes for figuring out which of the two which of the two sections of the Space Marines are good and bad, right? Where are you a true heretic? Are you a heretic by worshiping a god of chaos, or are you a heretic by worshiping the emperor who's providing you false messages in this universe? That's kind of an interesting take on that. That's xenophobes. LOL, the way to answer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, at this point, things were looking really good for the Imperium
Okay.
until Horus decided to do his heresy, and then all of a sudden everything fell apart.
Yeah. So it seems like it. Okay, so Horus starts to take over, and I'm guessing this is when some of his brothers don't agree with him, and some of them do, and this is where the divide happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, all the loyalists, like, when they find out the treachery and what's happened, they're like, oh my god, I gotta get back home to Dad. I gotta tell Dad. So they all try to go back to Terra, but the Chaos Gods are like, no, we're gonna help Horus out. So they kind of like mess with the warp and make it hard for everyone to get back to Terra,
Okay.
except for Horus.
Except for Horus, because he wants
They
to
want
go
Horus
and
to win.
yeah. So Horus comes back. Does Horus come back and give the message to Dad saying, "Screw you, Dad. I'm on my own."
Well, he goes home to kill Daddy
Okay.
with his daddy issues.
Yeah.
I'm here to kill you, Dad. Doesn't work out for him. He tries though.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Emperor
He
is alive.
kills
So.
his brother Sanguinius, and then the Emperor does battle with him and kills him, but then gets like severely mortally wounded. Hence, he's on the life support chair.
Okay, so that's why he's on, the life support chair. Okay, gotcha. So he has this big battle with his son Horus. Horus, has become a big boy and says, "No, screw you. I'm more powerful than you." Hurts him, and then screws off.
I've become more powerful than any Jedi.
Okay.
And then he says, "Don't do it. I have the high ground." And then Horus does it, and then he, yeah.
I like how you did. I like how you did that. Good old Anakin.
Anakin, no. Yeah.
Okay, so based on that divide, then, so how are those chapters divided? Like, because there's different followings and different principles. Do you mind kind of going through for me like the different principles, the different chapters of the Space Marines at this time, and how they become divided at that point? Because this is essentially, if we're taking a look at the actual time frame of it all, this is actually about in the year 30,000, correct?
Yeah, this would all be in the 30K part. So
Okay.
the Horus Heresy novels, which is cool. They're almost done. I think they have one more novel left. I think they just came out with the second last one for the Horus Heresy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or it's coming out this year.
There's
and
something
then
like...
there's only one left.
How many books are in that series? 16?
Oh, I think there's 70. I think this was the 71. I think there's 72.
Okay.
Wow. But yeah, so you're asking the separation between the different chapters and stuff.
Yeah.
I've only done the first 5 or 6 Horus Heresy books.
Okay.
I could do, but I could try and say what I know, but I don't know everything as far as the different chapters and
Yeah,
how the Horus Heresy goes.
maybe not necessarily the Horus Heresy, but maybe just a breakdown of the different chapters.
Yeah,
The different brothers, the different primarchs. Like let's how about we just chat about the different primarchs, and this is pre Horus Heresy, and who they are and what they stand for. If you can.
sure. Let's do this.
All right.
Let me get my list of the Primarchs, and we'll go through them.
Yeah. Sure.
Uh,
While you're looking, I'm gonna kind of give an update on our hobby stuff. So
yeah, I actually have some progress over here too.
nice, good stuff. So I've got the three basic colors on most of the models. So I'm at the point of bringing them up to the different standards now. So this was the three different colors that I had, right? So it was the light blue, the white, the silver, and the yellowish orange. Now I'm working on my tabletop standard right now, so I'm just kind of getting some washes in on these colors, and I'll probably finish up right after the wash, and that's where that would come. On the second one, I'll have the wash on them, but then I'll start highlighting beyond that as well. So it's not just going to be a wash to get that depth of color, but it's going to be a wash and some highlights to bring that back out and pop it out. And then I'm actually probably just going to get this guy to the wash paste, the actual. I don't want to take up a lot of time in going through all the levels and wet blending, unless we have some time after I'm done on these two here. So I'm just gonna kind of do that. What is it that you were working on there, Keith? And what was your goal?
Got my second. I didn't really set a goal, but maybe I'd like to get these arms done. Yeah, I got my second color of red on here, and I started with my third color of blue. So they're just kind of like the. I kind of look at it as like the energy perks.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. And you do a little bit of a highlight with a brighter color to get a.
So now I'm gonna start doing that.
Nice.
Yeah, then I'm gonna start doing the same with the other arm there. I did the little red parts on it, not do the blue.
Very cool.
There as well.
Nice. A couple of thanks out to the folks that are actually probably just watching the channel. Tanzir and Ulithis, they signed up for following. Thanks so much, guys, for supporting the channel. And as you're getting the list of your Primarchs done, I want to make sure that anybody who is watching is aware of my giveaway that's going on. Heading over to the Brush Jockey Studios Facebook page, you'll see a post that's sticky at the top. It's called $100 free giveaway or draw. So if you go ahead and like the Facebook page and comment on that post saying that I'm in, could get you a chance to win $100 of painting credit for a job that you might want to have painted for you. The draw is going to be on at the end of March 31st, which is a Sunday, I think. So it's going to be perfect. I'll be doing the draw right on stream here, capturing it and putting it out and getting in contact with the person. So if you're interested in that, make sure you head over there. But yeah, so the good old Primarchs.
Yeah.
Where do we start, Keith? Who's who in the zoo?
Let's look at this. We have our first legion, and our first legion is the Dark Angels.
Okay. Dark Angels.
The Dark Angels are led by the Primarch Lionel Johnson.
Okay.
Now, Lionel Johnson, because that was one of the Horus Heresy books I read. It's one of the first 6 books. When he lands on the planet, his Caliban, that planet, is very warp sensitive, you could say. and it has like forests and stuff, and it's very primitive. Like, they have like knighthoods and stuff.
Okay.
So like different castles and groups of people, and there's like the Illuminati on the planet, like stuff like that.
Okay.
A Black Templar type deal. He lands in one of the warp forests basically, and because he's a Primarch, he just kills all of the crazy beasts that are there, and he doesn't die.
Okay.
Eventually, one of the houses find him and are like, "What's this human man doing here? That's a lot larger and stronger than any of us alive in the most horrific place on the planet."
Do you mean like knights as in Imperial knights?
Nope, like
Okay.
your old sword and shield
Okay.
knights.
Gotcha.
Anyways, he ends up joining the knights, and they crown him. He basically becomes king. Like most of the Primarchs, they basically take over whatever planet they land on because they're just stronger, smarter, and
Yeah.
better than everyone there.
Okay.
He ends up basically becoming the leader, but not, because there's that Illuminati group that still don't really trust him because he's changing the way they do things.
Okay. And is that the Illuminati stuff? That's not the inner circle, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're the inner circle.
Okay.
And they don't let people in.
But isn't the inner circle comprised of some of the Dark Angel Space Marines?
Well, yeah, it definitely is.
Okay, that's interesting. So some of
Some
the
people there become Space Marines as well.
Okay.
Because like some of the guys on the planet the Primarchs with are like, well, these are some of my most abled men. They undergo the process and become Space Marines.
Okay.
Yeah. But
That's
basically, like, yeah, that's Johnson. They don't really trust people, and they're very secret and stuff. So I'm excited to read the War of Secrets to see how they accept their Primaris brothers or don't accept them. Yeah. Because inner circle.
Yeah, it's a different thing, right?
Yeah. So then we look here, and the Second Legion has been deleted from Imperial records.
Why is this?
So we'll just skip past that, and we'll go to the Third Legion.
Wait a minute here, Keith. I'm interested now. What's this? The Second Legion is just deleted? Like, is there any record of it? Is there something that you could tell me later about it, or?
Oh, maybe.
Oh.
I might be able to tell you.
Keith, that's not very fun. Well, super fun, but maybe fun for you, but that's okay. I'll let it slide. Okay,
we'll let it slide for now. Then the third Legion, we have the Emperor's Children.
Okay.
Which are your pretty boys, we're better than the everyone type attitude.
Okay.
Long blonde hair, shiny perfect gold armor with purple. And they're led by Fulgrim.
Okay. So these are the guys who are pretty boys.
These are the pretty boys.
Okay.
They always, were the pretty boys, right? Like, they just thought they were better than everyone else.
Okay.
And were appalled by how other people do things. They're one of the first people that actually turned to chaos along with Horus.
Okay.
When that happens. But that's partly into that Horus gives Fulgrim a chaos sword, like a demon blade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
that slowly corrupts him without him knowing.
Okay. That's an interesting story.
And then they eventually become the noise marines and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they end up worshipping Slanesh for pleasure and all that jazz. The Fulgrim novel was really nice. Doesn't really touch that much on his history. There's another novel later on that does.
Okay.
But it basically just goes through like their transformation from Emperor's Children to being the Chaos Emperor's Children, and there's a pretty intense scene in there where it just becomes like they're at like an opera, and it just, I don't want to go into details because of the PG-ness, but it gets a little
Rowdy.
Yeah, everyone gets a little high on life there, and
Okay.
it's pretty intense though. That would be one party that I don't think I would want to go to.
Okay.
Just for fear of death.
Just for fear of death. Okay. That's
and or AIDS or something along those lines.
And or disease, yes. And or,
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So then we have the 4th Legion, which is the Iron Warriors.
Okay. And Iron Warriors is led by?
They are led by Proturbo.
Proturbo? That's
Proturbo. He is slightly perturbed. But
I was going to make a joke, but it was like, okay, well, if this is the actual guy's name, let's not. But Proturbo.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iron Warriors is Proturbo. Proturbo. That's an odd name. I'm sorry. I mean, if we have still AIDS in the 40K, I gotta say, props to Grandfather Nurgle. Yes, we'll get to the Nurgle piece of things, but yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Father Nurgle loves that stuff. He's particularly fond of crotch rot. Yeah, so Proturbo also, I don't know much about the Iron Warriors, but I think they're master fortification builders. Like, they're really good at building fortifications and stuff.
Okay.
They had a fortress that they had built that impenetrable. No one could get at them. He issues a challenge to his brother Rogel Dorn, who the Imperial Fists are like the masters at siege warfare.
Okay.
And then the Iron Warriors are the best at building defenses, so they're like, come at me, let's see who's better. And it doesn't go well for the Imperial Fists. They're still getting over the whole, because this is after the Emperor and Horus have their battle.
Okay.
So the Iron Warrior planet isn't like, no one can take it. It's just so powerful. But me being the NIDS lore expert that I am, eventually one of the Hive Fleet show up and they end up killing everyone on it. So the impenetrable Iron Warriors fortress gets destroyed by NIDS.
Which you're happy about, but
yeah, that's good. Assimilate everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, eventually I'll probably get back to going through all the 30K novels. Nothing like a good itch in the morning. You know it. Yeah, eventually I might get through the other 30K novels, but I'm concentrating more on current 40K lore. Okay. So it'll be a slow process. That and balancing that reading with my school reading is not fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we go to the 5th Legion, which is the White Scars.
White Scars, okay.
Led by Chagatai Khan.
Chagatai Khan, very much like a what's his name?
Genghis Khan?
Genghis Khan, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, and they're very much based off of that style of like that's a lot of their stuff is based off of that style.
Okay.
Uh, they do a lot of like they like going fast on their bikes,
Yeah.
basically.
And they're like I guess like kind of ravagers, right?
Kind of, yeah, you could say that.
Okay. So Chuckakai Khan is the name.
Jagatai.
Jagatai.
Jaga.
Jagatai
Jaga.
Khan. All right.
Yeah.
So Jagatai Khan is
And the White Scars are loyalists,
Yep.
as we all know.
Okay, cool. So on to the 6th Legion.
6th Legion, we've got one of the fun ones, the Space Wolves.
Ah, this is one of my favorites.
And they are led
Lehman
by
Russ.
Lehman Russ.
Yep. And what's the story of Lehman Russ and why he's so feral? Because Space Wolves, they're loyal and follow the actual kind of Norse mythology, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they do like they have like a Viking Norse feel to them.
Yeah.
They're like the wolf tribes and stuff like that, hunting packs, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he grew up with a pack of wolves, kind of like Mowgli.
Okay.
Jungle Book,
So
Lehman Russ was kind of
when he was thrown
raised
out
by
into
wolves.
Yeah, so when he was thrown out into the universe by the Chaos Gods, he landed in the Jungle Book.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, Baloo and Bagheera and all of them were there, and they helped him to grow into the man that he is today.
Yeah. I bet you his favorite song is The Simple Plain Necessities of... Right?
Yeah. That's right.
Rabies for miles, Rafe Dancer writes. Yeah, I guess so. But, rabies. Good old Space Wolves.
Yeah, Space Wolves.
All right, so after Lehman Russ and the Space Wolves, we have the I guess 7th Company, right?
We are on to the 7th, which is the Imperial Fists.
Imperial Fists, which you kind of touched on already, which is the Siege chapter, right?
Yes.
And they're led by who?
They are led by Rogel Dorn, the most emotionless but effective tactician.
Okay. So he's like straight-faced, cold, like Stone Cold Steve Austin type of thing.
Yeah, he is the most honest person, like, not witty at all, just everything is, that's what it is,
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is this. I'm painting today.
Yeah, I gotta go back to that Emperor's text-to-speech videos. Their Rogel Dorn is spot on. It's great. Absolutely love it. I laugh awesome. So hard.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely fantastic. The Emperor basically gets him to guard him at the palace. That's why the Imperial Fists are basically based out of Terra.
Okay. So the Imperial Fists are based out of Terra, and
more specifically, they have a Blackstone fortress that called the Phalanx.
Okay.
And that's basically their hometown. And it's always in orbit around Terra until the more recent 40k stuff starts happening. It finally gets to leave
Okay.
and helps out at Cadia.
And Cadia is the where's Cadia? Sorry.
Cadia is the system that basically it's the first system you come across when you come out of the Eye of Terror into the known galaxy. So they're like the first line of defense against demons
Okay.
and chaos.
Gotcha. Right, then we have the
So that's the
eighth
Imperial.
company, Imperial Fists. Yeah, that's the seventh company. You said.
So 8th, we go to now one of my favorite ones, just because the idea is just very cool to me. The Night Lords.
Okay.
And their Primarch Conrad Kurz.
Conrad Kurz. And what makes them so interesting to you?
Conrad Kurz is basically Batman.
Nice.
The Night Lords would do all the dirty work that the Emperor needed done.
Okay.
Basically. They would flay, torture, kill, terrorize, you name it. Conrad Kurz, basically, when he gets there, he grows up in the slums, becomes a slum lord, Batman vigilante type guy, and then he just drops in on the planetary governors meeting, just breaks through the ceiling, and it's just like, hey, so I'm in control of the planet now, and if any of you guys have any problems with that, I will kill you. And they're like, you're not in charge, we're in charge. And then he kills that guy in front of everyone. He's like, anyone else? And then the rest of them are like,
yeah,
nope,
no, we're good.
You can have the planet.
We're good, thanks.
And like he would have like daily things where like if someone, because he couldn't tell what the difference between good and bad was because he grew up like in the slums.
Okay.
And he would like witness a bunch of things, and he just morality, like he's a little insane. He just doesn't know.
Okay.
But he would like go over the speakerphones in the cities, like his daily flaying, torturing, so everyone would listen to it.
Yeah,
Hear people being tortured.
That's kind of mean.
You could guess. They turn out to be traitor legions and join Horus. Who would have thunk?
Who would have thought that? It's interesting. Okay. Okay, so
there's also a nice lore video out there for them. Trying to think. Can't remember the name. But he goes on for a good hour or so about Conrad Kurz. So if you're interested in that, it's a good video to just kind of throw on in the background.
Awesome. Maybe what we'll do is I'll chat with you as we finish the stream, and I'll attach it as a comment on my YouTube video that gets posted based on this.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are wondering about that video, go ahead and check in the comments below.
Yeah, so that's Night Lords. 8. Then we go on to 9, chapter Legion. The 9th Legion.
The 9th
is the Blood Angels.
Ooh, Blood Angels. Okay. And they worship blood.
Yes. If Conrad Kurz is Batman, then the Blood Angels would be vampires.
Dracula, yeah. And who's our Primarch for these guys?
Yeah. That would be Sanguinius.
Sanguinius.
The angel man himself. On account that he had wings.
Yeah. Was he actually given wings like as a part of his form, or was it just part of his
Oh
armor?
yeah.
It was, eh? That's interesting. That's cool. I didn't actually know that. I thought it was. I thought he was actually. It was part of his armor, his regalia.
I mean, someone in chat can correct me if that's not actually true, but I'm pretty sure he actually does.
Sorry, Wraith Dancer said that's where they keep the CRA taxation center. I'm guessing Acadia is what you were talking about. That's funny. Good times.
So Horus kills Sanguinius when they go to fight
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Horus. And
So
that death just really
takes its toll on.
affects his chapter for the rest. It causes the Black Rage in his chapter, basically. So the Death Watch, they go crazy because they have flashbacks from their Primarch getting killed by Horus. And that's what makes them Death Watch. They just go crazy.
Not Death Watch. Death. Is it Death Guard? Death something. I don't think it's Death Watch though, because Death Watch is an entire chapter of itself, right?
Oh, Death Company. Sorry.
Death Company. That's it.
The Death Company. Yes, I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, that's okay. Me too.
Yeah, Death Company. Those guys are badass, but they're crazy.
Yeah, because they're always like, "Oh, Sanguinius, I remember you dying. I'm gonna kill people."
Interesting fact. Yeah, apparently the Primaris Blood Angels don't suffer from that genetic flaw that the Blood Angels have, known as the Red Thirst, which is when they lose control of themselves and go full vampire and just want blood. Apparently, the Primaris Blood Angels don't suffer from that. I don't know if that's in their rules. That would be something to look at.
That would be. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
that would be a fluff thing.
Yeah, I think because ideally, when the Primaris were created, and you'll talk about this probably in a little while, but Primaris were created after all of this happened, but based on original gene seeds, right? So based on the original genetics of these Primarchs, not the genetics of them after all of this has transpired.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So Sanguinius is dead now, and you could probably speak to some of the others that are dead in the current time frames, and maybe we'll talk about when these guys die, as you tell us the stories of different things and happenings. But after Sanguinius, we have.
So that was 9. The 10th Legion, we have the Iron Hands, led by Mr. Ferrus Manus.
Ferrus Manus. I wanted to say Bueller after you said Ferris, but Ferrus Manus.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah. So the Iron Hands, these guys are... I'm not too familiar with these guys at all. What do they
They're
do?
the ones that have the whole flesh is weak type deal.
Okay, so
they're the ones that have they're part robot.
So there's the cybernetic
Some of them have
guys.
Robot arms. Yeah, the cybernetic enhances. Their chapter rule is they have a 6+ feel no pain across the board, I believe.
Because they're all robotic and everything like that.
Yeah. It's either a 6+ feel no pain or 6+ invul, I'm not sure.
All right, thanks, Wraith Dancer. He says he's got to run for about 30 minutes, half an hour-ish. You know where we'll be when you get back if you're still interested in coming on. We're here till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so man.
Nice having you along for the ride. Thanks so much for all your comments.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, so Ferrus Manus is the master crafter. He's good at crafting weapons and armor and stuff like that,
Okay.
and vehicles and such. That was his jazz.
Nice. Okay. So he's got like he's got the I guess the take on, you know, enhancing bodies and vehicles with that as well.
Yeah.
Something I want to ask you about after we're done going through the chapters is the whole Mechanicus, where they fit in with things. I'm kind of confused on that, so we'll chat about that in a little bit.
Oh, I could throw that in there for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think they're... Yeah. We'll go through that after. And then chapter... or the 11th Legion. Huh. Also deleted from Imperial records.
That doesn't sound cool. Well, it doesn't sound cool for our purposes today because I'm frustrated now. What the hell? Jesus. There's 2 chapters, two legions that I don't know about. All right, we'll figure it out.
2 legions. What? Mystery abounds.
Yep.
So,
okay, so the 11th
the
has been
12th
deleted.
Legion, we have the World Eaters.
World Eaters. All right.
Led by Angron himself, the angriest Mon to ever exist.
Angron? The Angron.
Angron. We call him Angry Mon. Hey, Mon, why so angry, Mon?
That's okay. So, all right. World Eaters, and what's their shtick?
They are the Corn people. Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne.
Okay. The World Eaters.
Angron was raised as like a gladiator in fighting pits, from what I understand.
Okay.
So they're very cornate in their beliefs.
Yeah, like,
you know,
destruction, death,
true strength.
Yeah. Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, because they're like, they follow the like in current days because they followed Horus, right, to worship the chaos gods, and they started to worship Corn, which is the blood god, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised that the blood angels didn't.
They have history with Corn bloodthirsters and stuff like that. The Lord of the Bloodthirsters, Kabandai, is basically their mortal enemy.
The mortal enemy of the blood angels.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right.
Yeah.
So
that's Angry Mon.
Angry Mon.
The 12th. Then we go to the 13th Legion. We have the Ultramarines.
The 13th
The
Legion.
perfect chapter. Led by Robote Gilliman.
Bobby G himself.
Bobby G himself.
Bobby G, the original gangster. He's a beast on the battlefield, that's for sure. I know in the actual games themselves. Now, tell me why is the 13th chapter considered the perfect chapter of the Ultramarines?
Because they just succeed in all of their endeavors.
Okay.
They never lose.
They never lose.
They're the poster boys. They're the poster boys of, of the whole game, really. When you look at Warhammer 40k, what do you see?
You see Ultramarines, yeah.
Fighting something.
Yep.
They're always fighting something, and they're always winning.
Yeah.
Nobody knows why, but they're always winning. That's also we will link the videos after, but if you haven't watched the Emperor text-to-speech videos, I highly recommend watching those. They're great. They're fantastic. They really kick off after episode, I want to say like 14 or 16.
Okay. Something I'll probably take a look into too now.
The first ones are short because he's just starting out, but then once he gets into it a bit, those ones are good.
They get a little bit longer and more detailed.
Yeah, they get longer, more detailed, and they actually get like a storyline going with them. And no, it's good. It's
That's
good.
cool.
I love them. I don't know what to say about Gilliman.
Yeah, he's just
He's just
child, right?
He confronts Fulgrim after, like, he kind of hunts down Fulgrim to kill him, and then Fulgrim like stabs him repeatedly with very poisonous demon blades.
Yeah.
Which basically puts Gilliman in a coma for millennia.
Okay. That's why he wasn't around for many years in the actual game itself.
Yeah. And then he gets brought back to life by the Eldar.
By the Eldar. Hmm.
Oh, stupid Eldar.
Oh, let's not say stupid Eldar.
No one likes them.
Everyone likes them. Everyone that's important, anyways.
Yeah, but basically they're like, we need an ally in this. Let's help bring back Gilliman. And Belisarius Cawl gives him his badass armor and all that jazz. And now Gilliman basically leads the Imperium.
Yeah, eh? Yeah, because he took over. He came in and took over from.
He is Imperial
Calgar,
Regent.
right?
Oh, he doesn't take over Calgar. He lets Calgar continue to do his thing. Gilliman's got bigger fish to fry.
Ah, okay.
Gilliman's like, Calgar, you got to keep doing this because I got to just take over the whole Imperium. I got to become the new emperor.
Oh,
Someone's got to do it.
Can you say the Gilliman hearsay? Just saying. Is that where it's leading? That's a good question.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
His Primaris Marines are already incorporated into all the other chapters.
That's true. That's a sneaky.
Who knows? I don't know. It's a very, very interesting time. So
It'd be super cool if something like that happened in the storyline.
Gilliman is also, I don't know if you knew this, but Gilliman is also the one, after the Emperor dies, Gilliman, they kind of make Gilliman like kind of what he is now, like he was kind of in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that wrote the Codex Astartes. So
Okay,
he's the one that broke up all of the Space Marines into chapters. And then made the second foundings, because he thought that having one Space Marine Legion would be too powerful if it were to turn to chaos, versus if, say, like a chapter of one of the Space Marine Legions were to fall to chaos, that wouldn't be as bad, because it would only be like 100 Space Marines, not the whole chapter.
Gotcha. Okay, and so this was before before he faced Fulgrim and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was after the original Primarchs, started worshiping the chaos. This is when he made the successive chapters.
When the Emperor died.
The Emperor died?
I mean, not died. When the Emperor turns into comatose.
Gotcha. Okay. I was gonna say,
and gets put on the throne.
Alive? Yeah. Okay.
Then Gilliman kind of takes charge, and then he does all this stuff.
Okay.
A lot of people don't agree with him when he does that, except for Rogel Dorn. Didn't really agree with it, but he went along with it because he's like, I trust you, Gilliman.
Okay.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know. Okay. So, after the 13th chapter, which is our Ultramarines, is there others?
We're on to the 14th Legion, which is the Death Guard.
Death Guard. And this is where Typhus is, right? Or no, this is Mortarion.
Mortarion is the Primarch
For those guys.
for the Death Guard. Typhus is like
His
the
lieutenant.
Abaddon kind of deal.
Yeah, he's like his lieutenant,
For
right?
Death Guard. Yeah. But they don't like each other.
They don't?
Because Typhus is a Psyker, where Mortarion... Yeah, they don't like each other. Typhus is a Psyker, Mortarion doesn't like Psykers at all.
But Mortarion casts spells.
That's because Nurgle turns him all Nurgly. That's actually the second last book that just came out for the Horus Heresy is Mortarion's transformation to demonhood, basically.
Okay.
When Mortarion finally is like, you know what, I give in to you, Papa Nurgle.
Okay. Make me a demon.
And then shit hits the fan.
The fan.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Okay.
But they're the ones that like don't die, you know.
Yeah, they're
super resilient.
Yeah. Even in death.
Disgustingly resilient.
Yeah. That's the way it happens.
For those of you who don't know, that's their special rule. Disgustingly resilient.
5+ feel no pain. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to face on the field because they just stay there.
It's a good army rule, man. I'm surprised they don't do better in tournaments.
Yeah, I think it depends. They do. They can do fairly well as Chaos Demons won the Berry Bash, and Chaos Demons is essentially a mix of all of the different demon types, and a big component of those demon armies are the actual Nurgle, plague bearers.
Yeah, Clark was telling me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man.
He wasn't a happy camper for that.
No.
But that's okay.
It happens.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Papa Nurgle, Mr. Mortarion. Mortarion eventually becomes a demon at some point, but
yeah.
That was the 14th chapter. 15th?
When we go to the 15th Legion, we got our 1,000 Sons.
1,000 Sons. And this is Magnus.
Led by Mr. Magnus the Red. Basically the nerd of the Primarchs.
The nerd.
Would stay locked in his room reading his books.
That's right, because he was
gaining knowledge.
He was so interested in the knowledge of the warp and the everything. He was just a badass in the books.
Yep.
And look what he's become. He's become this great Primarch of the 1,000 Sons. You know, it's just art imitating life, where, the rulers of the world right now, like in real life, the powerhouses of the world aren't the jocks that we knew in high school, and the people who were physically fit and physically well off. The rulers of the world and the people who control it are the people who had their nose in the books and understand the way things work, like the Elon Musks and the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world.
You got it, man.
Like people who've put their minds to work essentially have outlined how our society kind of works. So for all you kids at home, keep reading, go to school, and just be good.
Drugs are
Drugs are bad.
Okay.
Drugs are bad. Books are good. Okay.
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 Go to school.
Go to
Okay.
school.
Mr. Mackey.
So Magnus the Red, his chapter was, I guess, really focused around psychic powers, right? Kind of
Yeah,
being
they hail
spellcasters.
from the planet of sorcerers,
The planet of sorcerers.
which, like, the Emperor strictly forbid the use of sorceries and stuff like that, but he kind of let them do their own thing on their planet because he's like, just don't expose it to the rest of the galaxy, you know?
That backfired on him.
Yeah. Everything wrong that happened, you can trace back to Magnus, actually. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, really? No.
Yep, everything's Magnus's fault.
It is, eh? Okay, you have to elaborate. Why is that the case?
When Horus first turned to chaos, Magnus was there as well.
Okay.
In corporeal form, and he was kind of like, "No, Horus, don't turn to chaos." But in doing that, he made Horus was like, "Magnus, you can't be here. You're on the other side of the galaxy. You must be a demon." So he actually didn't trust Magnus's words, pushing him to trust the Chaos Guy's words, because the Chaos Guy was like actually there.
Ah, okay, I get it. So Magnus was bamboozled. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mortarion was. What's his name? Horus was bamboozled in that case.
Yeah, because Magnus was trying to help and just made things worse.
Yeah.
And Horus gets tricked to chaos.
Horus. Such a weak soul.
We haven't gotten to that chapter yet.
No, we haven't. All right, let's do it. You ready for it?
Guess what? Chapter 6, Legion 16, the 16th Legion. The Luna Wolves, who then became the Sons of Horus, who then became the Black Legion.
The Black Legion. The Luna Wolves, who became the Sons of Horus, and then the Black Legion. So these are the guys who follow Mr. Horus.
Mr. Horus Lupercal.
Horus himself.
The big bad guy himself.
Cool. Okay. So, I guess we kind of know where he goes. He goes to the bad side.
Yeah, he's the big baddie there that turns everyone else to chaos along with him. But he gets turned to chaos by the Word Bearers, which brings us to our next legion, which is 17? Yeah.
Yep.
Our 17th legion, which is the Word Bearers, led by Lorgar.
Lorgar. Okay, so tell me how... Okay, so Horus gets turned to, I guess, interest in the chaos by the Word Bearers. And what are the Word Bearers? What is Lorgar's shtick? Like, what are they kind of known for?
Lorgar, worshipped the Emperor as a god. And the Emperor's law was that there's no such thing as gods. And don't worship gods, and demons don't exist, and this and that. But Lorgar didn't give a shit. He did it anyways, and he wrote a book called the Lectitio Divinitatis. Basically, is the Bible saying that the Emperor is a god and that he is a divine being, and this and that.
Okay. And the Emperor didn't like that.
So no, the Emperor didn't like that at all.
So he would tell Lorgar to cool it, and Lorgar was like, nope, I'll find a different way of doing this.
Yeah.
He needed something so
But
strongly to
basically,
believe in, I guess.
yeah. So, and then he sends his chaplain to Horus, and they do a big plotty scheme to turn Horus to chaos and
Okay.
this and that.
Be like, come over here. These gods are really cool. You might like one of
Hey,
them.
you know who always lied to you and never loved you? The Emperor.
uh, the way
And
to
then
use it.
Horus quickly got daddy issues.
Yep. Good old daddy issues. That's never fun. Daddy issues. Why would Horus have to have daddy issues? That's, yeah, I mean, it makes for a good story. But
Yeah. We still got some chapters to go, though.
still more. Holy jeez. Okay, so
We're
that
on
was
to the 18th Legion now.
18th Legion.
The
Okay.
18th Legion are the Salamanders.
Ah, Mr. Vulcan.
Led by Vulcan himself.
Ooh-wee. Vulcan himself. Now, these guys are the guys that are best known for fire and melting things, right?
Yes, because they lived on a volcanic planet.
Okay.
Or volcanic area, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With fire drakes and the likes.
That's super cool.
They're green.
I've always...
Vulcan is probably the nicest of all the Primarchs.
Okay. And why is that? Because he's just so nice?
He's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
Physically, like, the strongest.
Oh,
but
yeah?
he's
Okay.
the most compassionate. The most compassionate of the Primarchs.
That's cool.
They were the Salamanders are very much known for their compassion and taking care of other people.
Very cool. Okay, so salamanders known for compassion, taking care of other people, and they were born on a volcanic world, right? Essentially, that's where
Vulcan
that's where
landed
Vulcan
on
that's
a
where
volcanic
landed.
planet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. Cool. So is the 18th there?
Yeah. Then we go to the 19th Legion, which is a Raven Guard.
I never knew there was so many legions. Holy jeez. So these are all the
I know.
powers.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's okay.
And the Raven Guard were led by Corvus Corax.
Corax, yeah.
Corvus. I
What are they
really
known
don't know
for?
anything about the Raven Guard.
Aren't they like known for like stealth and
The only
cunning?
thing I know about them is that they're very stealth and guerrilla type warfare.
Yeah.
That's about all I know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking about when I was just asking that. Like, I thought they're about like the cunning and kind of, haha, surprise, out of the shadows type of thing.
Got him!
Supplies.
Yeah. Surprise, motherfucker.
But yeah, okay. So Raven Guard, what was his name again? Corvus,
Corvus. Corax.
Corvus Corax. Keep on forgetting to keep my model in frame here. Dang it, I gotta keep doing that. Sorry guys, watching at home. Watching what's going on here.
And that's why you have the tape there.
I know, I have it. Yeah. I'm pretty close. There we go. I'm almost done these two models here for my basic and tabletop plus models. So that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Here's my basic one. So we got 3 colors, the white, silver, blue, and with a little bit of an off-color orange. Got some washes in there where needed to kind of make the model actually, have some depth to it. But nothing super spectacular. And then we have my Tabletop Plus, giving a little bit more of that detail, popping those highlights, a little bit more detail on all of the different elements. Yeah, all the little gems kind of coming out in this case. I'm going to do a little bit of a glow on the weapon itself on the top part here. But yeah, essentially this model's almost done, and those are the two levels of painting that I do, and then I'll be doing the elite one on this one, where I'm going to do wet blends throughout, and it should be a transition and a smooth transition for all of them. And I'm hoping I can get the effects that I want on the model, and if not, that's okay. I do have other examples of some elite stuff that I have done, like prime marks and things like that, but I don't typically recommend that an elite style paint job be done on basic units like this guy here. Okay, so we had Vulcan, and then who did we do after Vulcan? Did we do the next one?
Corax.
Corax,
yeah.
That's right. The Raven Guard. Not really taking a look at the stealthy and sneakiness of them.
Mm-hmm.
And how many more do we have?
We have our last 20th Legion.
The 20th Legion.
And that is the Alpha Legion.
Ah, that's right.
I am Alpharius.
Alpha Arius is the name of the Primarch?
Yes.
And isn't Alpha Legion gone to Chaos as well?
Yes, they are traitor. Or may secretly be loyal. Who knows? It's Alpha Legion. They do themselves.
Gotcha. Okay. That's right, because they're not tied to any specific Chaos god. They're just chaotic. They just kind of they're just themselves.
Just kind of do their own thing.
Yep. That's super interesting. That's super cool to think about. Okay, so here's this clear divide of these 20 what are legions, and there's one that's like, I'm just gonna do us. But some people think that they're chaotic. Some people think that they're good. I'm guessing they.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing. Well, because they use the chaos army faction, like in the actual game itself. People could think that they're bad.
Yeah, they do a lot of espionage and deception and stuff.
Some people could say the same thing about the First Legion, though, too, right? Mr. Lionel and his Dark Angels
and his inner circle. It's
been rumored, I guess, that they think that they're the real heretics or the true heretics. I don't know. Just kind of weird on that case. So how's the progress coming on your end of things with your model?
Things are going.
Yeah.
I finished the blue light on the two arms. I think I'm gonna move on to the blue on the legs now, or on the front legs.
Okay, cool.
I think that's my next tackle. Basically, I'll be doing the blue for the rest of the model.
Right on.
Then after that, I've got the orange for all the vents and weapon parts.
That's right, because
then I do my little dry brush on the skin.
Why don't you do your dry brush on the skin first before you do the other ones? Just question. Is there a reason? Do you want the other pieces to kind of get that piece on there? The reason I ask is because when you're doing your dry brush, it's often it's often easy to like kind of let your brush get away with yourself. And if you hit those other areas that you don't want that color on, you can always, if you're coming back in with details after, you can kind of cover up that little bit of a dry brush, that little dry brush faux pas, or dry brush happy mistake, as we like to
No,
call it. Little happy mistake.
Little happy mistake.
Little
Yeah.
happy mistake. All right, so I got the start of this.
Yeah, that's true.
I got the start of this glow on the gun. I'm gonna let that dry before I wash it to get the last of it in. I think I'm gonna do it with a green glow, and then that guy will be done. So I'll have my basic level painting and my tabletop plus level painting all done with these guys. So it'll be super cool. It's coming to about 2 o'clock. I need to step away from the desk for a moment. I'm thinking that maybe what we'll do is take a 10-minute break and come on back to have our final hour of history time with Keithius in the world of 40 or universe of 40K. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back after this short little break.
Shia.
And we're back. How is everybody doing?
We're back.
We're back. We should come up with a little bit of a duet, dynamic duo type of thing. Should be, that would be fun.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
I think my video is kind of stopped, but we'll see how that goes. I think my camera is good, but everything up here is not. So let's take a look and see what's going on here.
Man, OJ, you were very, very good at the mannequin challenge.
At the mannequin challenge?
Yeah. Okay, Right Dancer is back too.
And we're back. Awesome, Right Dancer.
Back.
Nice. Welcome back, Right Dancer. Thanks for coming back.
We're all back.
Got about 45 minutes left. I actually have a little special surprise for Wraith Dancer and for you actually, Keith. I think you'll probably be surprised at my next personal project that I'll be working on. You ready for this? Are you all ready for this? It's gonna come in. It's coming into the screen. Oh, are you sure you're ready?
So I don't know. Oh, I'm glad I'm sitting down.
There he is.
Get ready.
The Mr. Orcamaboos. I have procured an army of orcs. Got it in a trade.
You know,
nice.
You just showed it, and then all of my videos stopped.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh.
You can't see anything on that video.
Come back.
Yeah, do it on that. Here, let me just do something for you, Keith. Here, I'll just stop my share.
Oh.
And then we're gonna get you back in here. We're gonna show your back. There we go. How does that look? Is that better?
Much better. I see Mr. Orc. Mr. Cork.
I'm gonna call this guy Steve. I just canceled my video. I'm just gonna come back here, do this.
Steve.
There we go. This is Steve. Steve the Orc.
Steve.
I'm actually
so. Father continues to call me Steve.
Who does?
My girlfriend's father keeps calling me Steve.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's really funny.
It's actually not funny. I mean, how long are you living with this girl?
Everywhere. Yeah, he doesn't anymore, but when we first started dating, every time he'd be like, oh, hey, Steve. Keith, sorry. And he would always call me Steve. Sometimes he would be like, hey, Steve, could you go get that? And then everyone would look at him and he'd be like,
you're not Steve, are you?
Not Steve.
Not Steve. So here's
for a long time I kept like, who's Steve?
Yeah.
Should I be worried?
That's what I was just gonna ask. I was gonna say, does your girlfriend have like an ex named Steve or something that was introduced to their family and stuff like that? But it's
no, apparently not. So I don't know.
Kind
Maybe
of
I'm just
funny,
out of the loop.
kind of sad. Geez, that's funny. So yeah, Steve the Orc. I'm gonna do a prototype of Steve after I'm done with this. Actually, this is the last part that I'm doing on this tabletop plus style miniature. So Wraith Dancer, while you were gone. Ooh, that base though. I know, right? Yeah, that's. I'm just. It's part of the, I guess the Imperial Sector base. I'm thinking that I'm gonna probably. I think I want to do like a Speed Freaks army. So I think I'm gonna actually transfer all of the bases of my orcs just over to a regular standard base and make them look like they're on the highway or somewhere. So potholes, man covers, center lines of the actual of the highways. So that's what I think I'm going to do. The army is so huge. I'll often sometimes think of what I want the army to look like on the actual on an actual display board. If I'm actually bringing it to like a tournament or something, so I just can't think of anything. I mean, the base itself in this Imperial sector, I could make it like a mech boy shop and kind of really rough it up and stuff like that. So I think that might be do. How many pieces did I get? I have a combination of about 160 boys, 90 Gretchen, 30 Ludas, 10 knobs, one converted Kilocan style thing from an old dreadnought, and a bunch of other kind of characters. I have two war bosses, 3 weird boys, a big mech with a custom force field. So all infantry, pretty much. I got a truck and a battle wagon, but a lot of pieces. So I'm having a hard time thinking that many models, what that's going to look like on a display board. So I want something that's going to look fairly unified with all, like, because I can essentially fit almost all of that I just listed into a 2,000 points. What did I trade a car? No, I traded painting service for the Orcs. So it was part of a big job that I had done in the past. So this is what we came to as an agreement. But yeah, spiky bits. Yeah, I mean, ideally, what I think I want to do something along the lines of either highway, because I'm going to have most of my boys as evil sons, giving them the +1 charge, +1 movement, or something in like a mech shop type of thing. And I think I might lean more toward the mech shop, because I could probably use these bases to be able to kind of make that happen. But yeah, so I'm going to try and do a little bit of a prototype on the color scheme for this guy here. And right after I'm done doing this here, so this guy just kind of finished up on drying with this, so I'm going to essentially get the last of the little highlights. And I'm going to get this in here. So I got this guy right in here, and I'm hoping that I can get that just right in the corner here. So I'm putting it right at the top. Of the eye.
I like the idea of the mech shop.
You like the mech shop idea?
Yeah.
What about you, Wraith Dancer? Wraith Dancer is an orc player. That's why I was mentioning that it would be a special for him to see the orcs. I'm curious. I want to try and figure out a different way to be able to do the skin. So I don't want to have to. I'm gonna do it all with an airbrush probably, the base coat of the skin and stuff. But here, let's kind of go back one last time over what I have done here. So for those of you seeing this, and you'll probably see this on my site, I'm gonna do a 360 view. This is a basic paint job. My video is coming out. This is a basic paint job showing just a basic 3 colors with shading where appropriate to give depth to the model, because I don't like just having the 3 colors base and not having a little bit of depth on that model. This is what I consider a tabletop plus, where I did the base coats, I did a wash. I did, in this case here, 2 levels of layering on the highlights out to the edges of the shoulder pads and the armor, and all of the details really picked out on here. So with all the gemstones and glow effect a little bit of a glow effect on the arm, on the weapon, re-highlighted the wings itself to give a little bit more cleaner separation of those wings. So that's really what what a tabletop plus guy looks like. And then my elite style, I'm having trouble. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to the elite in the time frame that we're looking at today. With this, I'm going to work on it. But essentially, with an elite model, you're looking at like levels of layering that provide a really great kind of shade. Here's an example of what I would consider an elite style kind of model. The layers, the wet blending across the entire model, details that are picked out, highlighting. If there's any glow effects, I would be doing glow effects. The base is done with all of the details kind of picked out specifically for the model. The eyes are done with all of the pupils done, everything kind of really picked out with the shading of the skin. I don't necessarily have any other elite style models here because all that I've done has been for commissions. So if you've seen like my Vulcan model online, the Mortarian stuff that I have on my stuff as well, but I will eventually get something out there for you to see. But for the rest of the night or rest of the day and afternoon, I'm going to work on this orc model here and kind of clean out, because this was a model that I had gotten from someone. So I'm gonna come through and clean the pieces that weren't cleaned and get through here. But back to our history lesson with Keith. We had gone through all 20 of the different legions of Space Marines pre Horus Heresy, and talked about them. Where are we at now, Keith? Where would you like to go on the history lesson? Would you like to talk about something specific, or?
Well, I think you were asking about the Mechanicus guys, eh?
Yeah.
Earlier, you wanted to go back and just do a little.
I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of an understanding of, Belisarius Cawl and the Mechanicus, and where they fit in the entire universe.
Yeah. Well, basically, if the Space Marines and the Imperial Guard are the muscle, the Adeptus Mechanicus is the brains,
Okay.
All right, the answer: $5 to paint the skin red.
All right.
They can't be redskins. That's offensive.
Why is that offensive?
The Redskins are offensive. They had to change the football name. Didn't you know this?
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you were talking about like this red-skinned orcs, and here I'm like, why is that offensive if I want to paint my skin red on these models? Yeah, because there is some. Sorry, just to kind of talk about the red-skinned orcs. Isn't there some fluff around orcs who have their skin red, like where they're from? Chaos orcs. Yeah, I could do spiky bit chaos orcs. That would be interesting.
That would be different, yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty decent idea. Like blood for the blood god. Could do that. Yeah. Could also do like a where am I seeing my tool go? Could also do like different units for different chaos lords. Some Nurgle ones.
Ooh.
Ones that are blue and gold for Tzeentch and the Thousand Suns. Because some purple ones for I'm not sure I like that idea too much. You never see a Chaos Orc army on the table. You're absolutely right. And I think for the exact same reason, I'm thinking that I don't want to do a purple orc for some reason. But I'm not opposed to looking at like the redskin. with the orc. I think I might try that. It's a good idea. See what that looks like. All right, Keithius, Mechanicus, Adeptus Mechanicus.
World of Warcraft type feel.
What's that?
Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yeah, I think things are happening here where you're lagging on your link here. Would you mind just taking a second, Keith, and just reconnecting to the online meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, seems like things have caught up. Do you mind waving to us? Yeah, things are super laggy on your end. If you don't mind, just maybe reconnecting to the meeting, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Meanwhile, I'll reprime this guy after my cleaning. So if I were to paint this guy with red skin, how would I then paint my evil son's painted red option? I'm kind of thinking about that a little bit, and what I may or may not want to do. Yeah, his stream was frozen. That's all right. He's a reconnecting. I'm gonna get paint. Gonna get some primer back on this guy here. Welcome back, Keith.
And we're back.
And that, I think, fixed things, because it seems like you have a much better connection, and there's no lag on your side of things.
Yeah, everything just kind of did a little shutdown there. The stream stopped working for me. My recording stopped working. I was like, shut that down. Stream started back up, reconnected. Everything seems good now.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I know we were going to talk about Adeptus Mechanicus, but I have a question because I'm not very good at this.
Yeah, sure.
How does one do like dry brush highlights properly? Not like me, where it's like a big blotch of paint and then I go dry brush here and dry brush here from there.
Okay. You know what? Let me show you on this guy once my primer dries. I'll actually do the dry brush highlights for his skin. And I'll show you how to do it from there. Okay.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Well then, while we wait for that, I can talk about the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay. Let's do it. Adeptus Mechanicus. Where in the 40K universe do they fit? Like, I have no idea. I know that they're guys who build Imperial Knights, right? Like, that's what I think they are.
Oh, they build everything. They built everything. I think the Emperor designed the initial stuff, and then the Tech Marines build everything. They build the Space Marine armor.
Okay.
They built the bolt guns. They built all that stuff for the Emperor. Basically, when the Emperor was starting to do his thing, because the Tech Marines were based off of Mars, he basically went to Mars and he told them, like, hey, listen, I'm gonna have these super genetic soldiers. They need to be armed. Can you help me out with this, and we can rule the world, the galaxy together? And the Tech Priests were like, yeah, sure. And he's like, good, now I don't have to kill you all.
He's so badass.
So they basically just build everything. Tanks, armor, guns, you name it.
Wow. Okay.
from Mars. They're literally Martians. The tech
Okay.
priests.
Okay, so they're Martians from Mars, which is okay, but they're all like, I guess they adapt themselves with like their creations to make themselves look mechanic, but they're actually like sentient beings, right?
Oh yeah. They like to be more machine. We could think of them of like pickles, where they're like a robot, and then floating inside the jar is their brain.
Okay, and everything is connected through their brain.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
that's interesting.
and yeah, the way it's weird, right? The answer, they're like, they worship the machine god, who isn't the emperor, but they say he's the emperor.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, the machine god and the emperor are the same thing. We worship the machine god, but really the machine god is not the emperor.
That's interesting.
It's a little bit of a gray area. I think people just kind of put up with it because the Imperium wouldn't really work really well without the Mechanicus, so
Yeah.
it'd be tough.
Okay, man. So I've actually made a decision. I'm gonna keep these guys green. I'm gonna try it green. I think I might do another one with a red just to kind of see. And if I do, maybe what I'll do is I'll do my evil sons with the red skin to give them that painted red feel. And then I'll just do any of my other orcs with the green. So I've got a really really dark base coat, right? So I got this guy here, and I'm just gonna dry brush right from black to whatever I have. And the way I do it is I start with a medium color. In this case here, I'm going to do like an olive kind of camo green. And and then I'm going to go right to a highlight of this like livery green, which is almost like a neon green, just to get the highlights to pop a little bit more. So with this, I'm just going to put a little bit of this olive on, and I take my dry brush. I use a brush with a very stiff bristles.
Sorry, can you bring it so I can see? Oh yeah, okay, there we go.
So my brush is just a stiff bristle brush. It doesn't have to be a dry brush from Citadel. I use other brushes as well. So like I got this brush that I think I picked up at Michael's. You know, it's got just a stiff bristle at the end. Essentially, looking at it so that we see that it's a very stiff bristle, right? So I'm going to show you what this looks like from the perspective of the actual paper towel that I'm working on as well. So as I put so make sure that things are kind of going. There we go. As I put paint on my brush, I'm essentially getting as much of that, almost all of the paint off of that. So you see how I can kind of just see where the green is happening over there, okay? And when I have it so that brush is dry, right? So I can't be like, if I'm doing this, I'm not seeing any paint come off. But when I start doing this, I'm just really, really applying this across the grain of the actual model's like recesses. All right. So what this does is it brings it up so I can see where those things are coming across. I'll put more paint on, take that paint off, right? And essentially, I'm brushing this on super, super dry. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try and like do most of the coverage for the actual model itself, right? So I don't want to leave big parts of that black or dark color. I'm trying to get it nice and deep. And this is the reason I use a medium tone or medium color for it, because If it gets into the recesses, that's okay because the skin is green, right? And if it's just a darker color green before I put on my highlight, that's okay, right? So I'm just gonna go through, get all of my different colors, right? And sometimes even if I don't want to, I won't put the actual paint. I won't put more paint on. I'll just kind of go back over and kind of get some more pieces of the pigment from the stuff that I kind of brushed off of the paint itself, or the on the paper towel. Okay, so this guy's wearing a glove, but he's got fingers. I need a little bit more paint here. Again, I'm just making sure that the brush isn't wet with anything. Okay, getting all that in there. Even getting right into the recesses down in here. Right? It's just kind
So
of,
I think my issue is I put too much paint on when I'm doing it.
it's not that you put too much paint, it's just that maybe you don't take enough off. Okay.
Yeah.
So there we go. Right? So now I'm not even taking any, I'm not washing this brush now. Okay? From here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a little bit of this green paint onto right onto my paper towel. And this is just a different way of doing it instead of putting it onto a palette. But I'm going to take this now. Right? I'm going to get most of it off. And what's nice about it is because I haven't cleaned that brush, I have a in-between tone. Right? And then I'm going across the grain again. Okay, getting that, building it up. And you might have to go over it a few times. And this is where your patience really needs to come into play if you're gonna do it with a buildup of dry brushes, because if you try and make it so that there's too much paint on your brush and you're not taking enough off, and you're like thinking, oh, I want to get to that color sooner than later, just remember that you need to do layer upon layer upon layer to be able to get that to the color that you want it to be. So there we go, a little bit more color on there. And it looks a little fairly realistic, right? With this, there's not like big shadows. There's not like it's not like a cartoonish look. It looks like this. These arms are a little bit more real. And then if I wanted to go even higher in the color, just kind of get a little bit more and bring it up a little bit more. In this case here, on this one, I'm only hitting the more raised areas, like his forearm and his shoulders, maybe the ends of the knuckles, like the knuckles where they're raised on the actual thing here. Some of his fingers again, forearms. I'm not getting underneath too much, and even further, I'm just kind of going back in, getting more paint off that paper towel. Come back over. So it's really a buildup of that dry brush to be able to get the color scheme that I'm looking for, that gradient that I'm looking for. TBMC Kevin and TBMC Irvin. Yeah, it was off my camera. I know, sorry. Thank you. I'm learning on this stuff. But yeah, that's essentially the dry brush technique to be able to layer it up from a dark color like the black to the greens and whatnot. Welcome, TBMC twins. How's your Sunday afternoon going?
What's up, boys?
Thanks, Wraith Dancer. That yeah, that's the method that I kind of do for dry brushing skin. Gives a nice gradient and you know, a base for me to be able to work with. Now I'm gonna come in and do some of the details around the other colors here. So this guy here is gonna be an Evil Sun's work. So I'm gonna put some red down and some other darker colors because you know, paint in red. Thanks TBMC Kev. Higher up, you think? Here, I can do it this way here. I'm zoomed in right there, so I can do it this way. And it allows me to do it a little bit better. But how does that look, guys? Ooh, Middle Earth. Yeah, you guys are right in there, eh? That's good.
Got right into it.
Yeah, I might take you up on showing me how to play at some point. I wouldn't mind learning. I'm kind of interested. Some afternoon, maybe next week or something. All right, so I'm gonna come in and do some colors on this guy. All my armor plates I'm gonna do are gonna be red, and yeah, because I want that to be red. I'm gonna do a black color shirt underneath, and then I'll do the leather strapping. I'll do red armor up here on the plates. I think I'll do brown pants with a red sash as well, just to kind of make sure. And then all the silver pieces with the black boots. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. Red helmet, of course. That's I think what I'm gonna do. So because I'm looking at this, and the next color that's gonna be up is the actual shirts and the pants. I'm gonna start doing those. So I'll do brown pants, black shirt. I will clean these things up. All right, brown. I'm gonna use a color Averland Sunset. I'm gonna go with the lighter color, and I'm gonna end up washing it to make it look a little bit more dirty. So I'll get this guy in. Are you guys? So you guys are both playing TBMC Irvin Middle Earth? Are you both going to be playing, or are you just one of you and Kevin's going to be working on something else? While we're waiting for some answers, so the AdMech, as you were mentioning, Keith, are originally from Mars.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they did their shenanigans on Mars.
Okay, and that's just their originating planet.
Yeah, they have other forges around the galaxy now, though.
Okay, cool, and they're the guys who are really responsible for the creation of things, right? They're not necessarily the designers of.
Yeah, because all the original designs, they basically are at the point now where to tamper and change any of those designs is heresy.
Okay.
So they're kind of stuck in this is kind of the way it is, and that's how it's always going to be now.
Okay.
Until Belisarius Call showed up and made all this stuff for Gilliman.
Gotcha. Okay. TBMC Kevin says, yeah, loving it. Playing later. Stripped a Finecast model this morning. Cool. What model, Kev? You don't mind sharing? That'd be kind of cool to know. And Wraith Dancer says, I like seeing how you prioritize your order for painting each part of the model. I try that and it opens a chaos storm in my head. Yeah, it's I'm not sure if you had caught like one of my first streams at all, but I really talked about when I'm painting a model, I paint it like I'm getting dressed in the morning. I put my underwear on first, and then I put my pants on over top, right? So when I look at a model, I always think of it that way. What's the most closest thing to the model's skin itself? Obviously the skin in this case, that's why I did the skin first. And then build up from there. Next is the pants, next is the armor, and then the plating and things like that. So that's where I come from with that. You are so late. Yes, you are, Hazardous Geoff. That's okay. We're taking a look at my my latest project here. Ooh, I know you're probably pretty scared to see that I'm actually starting to paint some orcs. Oh man. TBMC Irvin says, at TBMC Kevin, the model he paid almost 3 times retail for a used model, 3 times retail. Is that a fine cast of one of your Middle Earth models, Kev? And you know what? Value is in the hands of the owner or the person obtaining that model. So if he felt that there was value in paying that much for, and then there was value in doing it. You know, it's like paint jobs. You know,
something's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it.
Exactly. And paint jobs themselves, some people won't pay, you know, a few dollars per model to get it painted because they don't see the value in it, or because they feel that they can get it done on their own, which is great, and that's, you know, entirely up to them. But some people really see that value in saying, you know what, I really want to see that model on the board, and I want it done to a certain standard, so I will pay for it to be done. Going through here and just getting a second layer of paint on these orcs.
And some people, like me, just paint horrible models. Well, horrible. They
alright.
And you know what? I'm fine with my models just being aight.
Absolutely.
I look at it this way: if they're if I can play them in a tournament, then that's good enough for me.
Absolutely, man.
I ain't winning no awards for painting, let me tell you that.
Well, you say that now, but you know what?
The boys can attest to that.
I strongly feel this. So, how long have you been painting, Keith?
What? I don't know, 10 years maybe?
10 years? And on a regular basis, like putting in, like, you know, a good 5 hours a week of painting?
No.
Okay.
Not like that.
Okay. So, I've been painting, right, since I was 5 years old. And I can tell you that I've done some form of creativity with watercolor or acrylic style paints for, I would say, on average 5 to 10 hours per week since I was 5 years old. In some way, shape, or form, I've been creative with an artistic medium throughout that time frame. So, and that's not to toot my horn. It's just to say the skill level that I'm at is where I'm at because I've put those hours in. And I strongly believe that anyone with a creative kind of bone in their body who feels that they can, not even who feels that, who put the time in to hone the skill of painting, can paint models at a level that's like superb. An example here is TBMC Kevin and TBMC Irvin, because they haven't been painting for long, but they understand the process of, and they've taken the time to practice on a lot of the skills that they've really honed. And a lot of their models that they put out now, any of their vehicles they're pretty exceptional. They're really well done, and I give them props to the stuff that they put out because it looks great. You know, they take the time in doing it, and it's just a matter of putting their time in. So, and I think that, you know, with a lot more practice, or with some more practice, not even a lot more, like some of their stuff can come onto the table and possibly win awards in the future if they wanted to. And that's my opinion, because I think that everyone has that skill inside of them. Just that it's a matter of whether or not you have the time to take it out of yourself, or be able to get that from those models, from those right.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. Hey, say hello to Cindy in the background. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, Cindy Lou Who.
Everybody says hello.
Hello, everyone.
When's Cindy gonna come on a painting stream with us?
Well, Cindy was actually with us when she was on the stream. She was watching the stream while we were chatting about the Gene Stealer cults a couple weeks ago. She is actually what was her name? Crocagirl. So she was there. They have come a long way. I can paint a lot better, just get quite impatient. Yeah, and that's what Hazardous says. Absolutely, that's exactly the case, right? If you don't have the patience to sit down and put that time in, again, you're another person, Geoff, that has come like leaps and bounds in the skill level that you have. With impatience, though, you're not going to have that time to sit down and really, hone the skill as much as you'd probably like. And that's just the way it is. If you have the patience and if you have the persistence, I think that people have the capacity to do really really good jobs of their models. So in this case here, I mentioned that I want this shirt to be black or dark colored. So what I'm doing is I'm painting it almost like a gray or an ivory, and I'm going to capture that dark color by actually highlighting it up. So from the light color here, I'm going to highlight it up, and that's the same approach that I'm going to use for the pants as well. I have a light color of that yellow on there, but I'm gonna highlight it with, or I'm gonna wash it with an Argax Earthshade to deepen it and darken it. And then I'll highlight with more brownish tones as opposed to the yellow tones. But in this case here, because I'm going to be putting such dark washes on, I want that color to be kind of captured to be able to already create those highlights for me. So that's my thought process around putting lighter colors on here. So for those of you out in the land of the streams, seeing what I'm working on here right now, do you prefer seeing things a little bit closer, or is this a good distance away from the models that I'm working with here? A little bit of feedback would be nice, just to make sure that I'm hitting things or showing you things where I'm expecting to see things.
Yeah, Wraith Dancer likes it. I think the spacing's pretty decent with it too.
Right now, yeah.
You see a lot more right now.
Okay.
The way it is.
Okay.
If you wanted to get closer to show detail, though, you could just bring it closer to the camera. I think this might be a good spot to have it.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Good stuff. So there we go. It looks like I got my base coats down for this guy here. Get back in here where the shirt would be underneath the plate. Wow. I'm just thinking to myself, you have 120 boys to paint. How are you going to batch process this? So, I am going to think about that. How can I make things more efficient on these guys? Alright, so the belt, it looks like the pants come up actually beyond the belt on there. So I'm going to get that in there. This is pants right here. So Geoff, when you did your orcs, what was your process to make sure that things were done with? I guess you don't need uniformity, right, with orcs. I was gonna say, what was your process to make sure things were done uniformly and kind of persistent throughout? I guess you don't need it. Orcs don't need that persistence and that, feel of uniformity because they're orcs. Am I right? Am I wrong? You decide.
No, I think that's accurate. One of the things I've enjoyed the most about reading the fluff with the Vigilus is just the different orc societies.
Yeah.
And how when they landed on Vigilus, you had your different groups of orcs that were all working to, like, it had like a Mad Max type feel,
Okay.
There was like different junkers that were like competing against each other to give people the best trucks and try to get the more business, because the more business the more scraps. Like it was really like a look on orc society, not just kill them all.
Okay.
It was one of my favorite things reading was just like, they started going to this junker because it was rumored he had the fastest trucks and they could win their races if they had him do their stuff. And that was cool.
That's kind of neat.
It was fun reading.
Yeah, I bet. That's super cool. Well, it looks like we've come to the time to say goodbye, Keith. Jeez, that kind of flew by for us.
I think so.
Awesome. I'm going to continue
real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to continue.
This is good though,
I think so. I think this has been really good. I've gotten my 2 levels of painting here for my my photos, my studio photos. With a basic level paint job as well as a tabletop plus style. So I'll have those as photos. I'll take some of those and put them up. And I'll probably end up finishing this guy here this afternoon and post up an image. Just a reminder for everyone, head over to Brush Jockey Studios Facebook page, send a like over, and say I'm in on the post that's sticky there for your chance to win a $100 draw at the end of March. And yeah, post your stuff that you're working on. I'd really like to be able to see it and showcase it. I'll bring it up on stream or even on a video that I'm working on. I am working on actual videos for production. My latest one that I'm working on is essentially how to actually batch process or batch paint in a short time period, or I'm actually labeling it how to paint your army in a month, so that you can have some different strategies around that and how that's going to look. But until next time, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you again, Keith, for joining me today and schooling me in the history of the Warhammer universe. You and I can chat, and maybe I'll send out a little bit of a poll for everyone to see what they want to learn about next and the different histories that we want to look at and talk about. But until next time,
right on. Thanks everyone. Thanks for having me, OJ.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Thanks again for everyone joining us. Keep on painting, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, guys.